Today I'll be showing you 16 things you never knew about the Mclaren 720s. Starting off with its 4 brake lights. Like most cars, you have a brake light here and here, and then also in the middle. But what most cars don't have is this huge dynamic wing. Unfortunately, the wing only comes up when the car is on, but when it's up, it blocks out the middle brake light, so McLaren thought ahead and put one right in the center of the wing right over here. McLaren calls it the 720s, but it has only 710 horsepower. Well, at least American horsepower. See, with McLarens being made in Britain, they use slightly different measurements of power, just like for weight, we use pounds and they use kilograms. So in metric horsepower, or PS, this does actually have the full 720 horsepower, just like the name suggests. Going back to the lights, you'll notice that these two beautifully designed taillights don't feature a reverse light. And that's because if you look right over here, you'll see this super tiny strip of LEDs, and that's what the 720s uses to tell you it's backing up. And right behind you'll find the transmission with this really cool McLaren stamp, which you can see very clearly with all this venting. One thing you can't see clearly is the 720s's 4-liter twin-turbo V8. Most supercars will have a lever somewhere in the cabin that'll let you open up the rear engine cover, but in the 720s, to get this open up, you'll have to go in the front trunk and use a special tool. But what you do have is this little vent right over here, which when the car is on, actually illuminates in red so you can see the engine bay that much better. Moving on to the front, you'll notice these headlights look a bit hollow, and that's because they actually are. On top, you have the high and low beams. In the middle, you have this carbon bridge with the daytime running lights and turn signals, and then below, you actually have an air inlet for the front heat exchangers. Never thought I'd be putting my hand inside a car. Talking about vents, if you take a look at the side profile of the 720s, you'll notice there aren't any, yet most rear-mounted mid-engine supercars have them right about here. And that's because the 720s has these insanely cool hollow doors. Air gets channeled from here all the way through the hollow doors into the coolers right over there hidden in the rear quarter panels. That's not the only cool thing about these doors though. Try to open one and you'll notice that there's no buttons or door handles, because instead you have this rubberized pressure pad that when pressed electronically opens the door. When you try to get inside, not only does the door open upwards, but part of the roof comes along with it, and on this specific 720s, there's the Gorilla Glass sunroof option, which is insanely cool. What's even cooler is that on the 720s Spider, the Gorilla Glass sunroof can actually be dark blue to block out the sun, or fully clear for a nice tan at the press of a button. As you can see, there's not a single piece of leather in this entire interior, with it being finished in Alcantara for a more sporty look, and also to keep you gripped when taking corners. But of course, leather can also be optioned. And talking about options, the 720s has a whole bunch, but two that I thought were especially cool are how you're able to choose between manual or power adjustable memory seats with heating, along with the option of a manually or electrically adjustable steering column. The one thing you can option though is any sort of driver assistance package like lane keep assist or active cruise control, which is the way it should be in a car like this. They're meant to be driven hard, and driven hard by people who know what they're doing. Which is why even though nearly every car manufacturer nowadays is moving over to electric power steering, McLaren is stuck with hydraulic power steering for more steering feel and also more feedback when on the track or enjoying some spirited driving on your own private road. Since we're talking about steering, if you take a look at this wheel, you'll notice that there's not a single button on it, and that's because in a car like this, you want as minimal distractions as possible. Which is why when you press this button right over here, the gauge cluster folds down to show you only the RPM, speed, and gear you're in. While it's insanely cool, there is a problem with it. While you're on track, you're going to want to see your warning lights, and with this folded down, you can't see any of them, which is why McLaren thought ahead and put two little screens right over here that show you every single warning light the car has. By the way, is it just me or are the paddle shifters really small for a car like this? The steering wheel is actually surprisingly really thin compared to a BMW steering wheel or pretty much any other steering wheel. If you look right over here, you'll notice that there's not only a speaker, but a little vent built into the speaker. What you won't find though is park, and that's because the 720s has a 7-speed DCT transmission. Similar to a manual, if you'd like to put this into park, all you have to do is pull up on this electronic parking brake and you're good to go. Anyway, to actually get the 720s in gear, you don't have a gear selector like most cars do, but rather these buttons for drive, neutral, and reverse. And with that, we've covered all 16 things, but I've actually got a few more really cool features to show you, which we'll do right after saying a huge thanks to Alan and World Fine Cars for letting me record in their showroom. They've got a constant inventory of 90 plus cars, including exotics, domestics, classics, and even cool sports cars like the M2 CS. So if you're looking for a cool car, I'll be putting all of Alan's information down in the description below. As you open the door, you can see that there's an exposed hinge right there, which looks really cool. And talking about really cool things, the rest of the roof is carbon fiber with the center of the weave aligned perfectly down the middle of the car. Even though this is a race car, you actually have soft closed doors, which is really cool. Just like most car manufacturers, the warranty is limited by years at 3, but you actually have unlimited mileage, and an extended warranty is available for up to 12 years with 12,000 miles per year. The sun visors have this really cool, unique shape to them. Anyway, even with this being a crazy supercar, you actually have an auto start-stop button so that you can save fuel when you're at a stoplight in your 720 horsepower supercar. There's 2 air vents in the center, with one being a triangle that doesn't move, but if you press this in and out, it actually opens and closes the vent, and to the left you have a circle one that does move all around, and the really cool thing about this is as you rotate it, it indefinitely opens and closes, so I can keep doing this, and it's going to open and close every time. There's no glove box, but you do get a paper holder right down there. Since the doors are electronic, there has to be a manual release, and you can find that right over here. So just in case the battery dies, you can still get out. Most cars will have an exterior paint color and then the same color on the inside, but on the McLaren you get something really special. You get this exterior color with a metallic black paint on the inside that looks amazing under light. Even though the doors open upwards, you do have storage in the doors with this bin right over here, and the cool thing about it is that when I open the door, like so, you can't open this so your stuff doesn't fall out. The paddle shifters are one piece, so when I press the downshift, the upshift goes that way, and when I press the upshift, the downshift goes that way. It's really cool. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, here's 4 more you'll enjoy just as much.